What's up guys, Teddy Striker here, and in this video I want to talk about Chris Weidman because he's coming back after 2 years off at UFC 292 next weekend. And just a quick side note, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow because I'm going to be making a fight simulation between Vicente Luque and Rafael dos Anjos for Saturday's main event, so make sure you guys tune into that. But back to this video, yeah, Chris Weidman, he's a really good fighter. Obviously, as of late, he hasn't been doing like too well. Like he's 1-3 in his last 4, including the Uriah Hall one, which it shouldn't really count as a loss, but it is what it is. That the injury was caused by Uriah Hall, and Chris Weidman like snapped his leg in half, and it was crazy because he broke Anderson Silva's leg by checking a kick, and like all these years later, like his leg gets snapped while like doing the same thing that Anderson Silva did to him, which is just like crazy how that works. But yeah, it was just very strange, very odd. But it's good to see that Chris Weidman has healed up pretty well. Like he seems like his leg is like much better, and that's good to see because that is a horrific injury. And when you have an injury like that, like with Anderson Silva, he came back, but it didn't seem like he was the same after that. Like he had one fight in 2015, and then after that he fought, but he didn't do that well. I think he actually went on like a bit of a losing streak, and he ended his career with a losing record. Like it was 2-7 or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But Chris Weidman, he was a beast when he was a champion. Like he got the belt from Anderson Silva by knocking him out, and he was arguably winning that fight because I think in the first round he took him down, and then like Anderson Silva was playing around, and Weidman caught him with that infamous left hook. And then in the rematch, again, I think he was winning, took Silva down, and then like Silva threw a kick and Chris Weidman checked it, and that was it. And I think he just had a like bad style for someone like Anderson Silva, because we had seen it with Chael Sonnen, but Anderson Silva had some problems with heavy grapplers, and Chris Weidman was such a beast. Like he was an All-American wrestler, and he had great jiu-jitsu. He trained with Matt Serra and Ray Longo, and those are some really great coaches, a really good combo for someone like Chris Weidman. He was able to beat guys like Lyoto Machida, Vitor Belfort, and I think there's another person he beat. I'm not sure who it was, but he had a pretty good title run. But then he ran into Luke Rockhold by throwing that spinning wheel kick, which, in hindsight, that's probably one of the lowest fight IQ moments in fights from any fighter. Like, it sucks that he did that in a title fight, that he was winning, actually. But, it's these little mistakes at the highest level that can cost you the fight sometimes. And I'm sure if Chris Weidman could take something back from the past, I'm sure that would probably be, like, for sure one of the top 5 moments in his MMA career he wishes he could take back. But regardless, let's talk about his fight with Brad Tavares next week. Like I said, Chris Weidman recently, he hasn't been doing too well. He did go up against guys like who were like not the highest level guys, but at the same time they weren't like super low tier guys. Like he had some wins here and there, but it wasn't like anything crazy. But Brad Tavares, he's the type of guy that's been around like in the top of the middleweight division, like for a while, at least in the top 15. It always feels like he's around that 10 to 15 range at some point. And yeah, this is a pretty interesting matchup for Weidman to come back to, because this is a fight he should be the favorite in. I think he should win this fight. But like considering the leg injury, and he did take the right amount of time off, but I don't think that he did the Conor McGregor thing of leaving the USADA pool and taking some steroids and coming back a lot sooner. Like he actually waited the whole time he was in the USADA testing pool, unlike Conor McGregor. And yeah, he's coming back 2 years later. And if he didn't have this injury, I would probably like 100% pick him to beat Brad Tavares. But Brad Tavares, to be fair to him, he actually has some really good grappling. He trains at Extreme Couture. Chris Weidman does have some pretty decent power on the feet, but Brad Tavares has got a great chin, even though he did get like knocked out in his last fight. Like, he still has a great chin. I think it was with Bruno Silva that he got knocked out by, but he's very durable though. Like, he lost his scrap, and I think that in this fight, I think that Chris Weidman is going to struggle a bit. He might not get like the takedowns every time, and it might get a bit dicey on the feet. But overall, I think that his skill level is going to be a bit too much for Brad Tavares. I think he's going to win the decision here. And outside of the wrestling, another thing that we can guarantee to expect from Chris Weidman was that he's going to throw the hardest leg kick ever, which is pretty funny, like considering what happened last time. But it kind of shows his mindset and his eagerness to get in there and to show that, this injury happened and it was devastating, but it's not it's not the end of me. And I think that's a really good mentality going into this fight with. And he's also in the same training camp as Aljamain Sterling. And I think that's a great mix, great energy from the teammate and, using some of that even work ethic potentially too, and motivation, and like knowing that you can push through with another teammate of yours who's currently the champion. It's going to be even greater, and it's in Boston, not too far away from, New York, Long Island. It's pretty close. So there's definitely a lot of things in his favor, but the biggest, downfall, in this thing is his leg. For sure, Brad Tavares is going to target his left leg so that Weidman changes his stance. But luckily for Weidman, he's an orthodox fighter, so his left leg will be in front. But if he starts getting his leg chewed up too bad, he has to stay in that stance. Because obviously Tavares, as soon as he sees Weidman going to the southpaw stance, he's going to blast that leg. But overall, I think that Weidman has a pretty good jab. I think he's got pretty good boxing, and he's been working on his footwork and his striking overall with Wonder Boy, which I think is going to be a great mix. And he always has that grappling to rely on him. And what's going to make this striking even closer is that threat of the takedown, because obviously if Tavares gets taken down, that's going to be a nightmare to deal with, not just for Brad Tavares, but for most middleweights at this point. He's still very dominant. He's still got that Matt Serra, BJJ, and that all-American level wrestling. But I think he can win this fight. This is this is gonna show where he is. I don't think he's I don't think Weidman's gonna be top 5 level or top 10 level. I think he should be some guys in the top 15. He might have some problems getting to the top 10, but I think somewhere from number 11 to 15 is where he fits in. But overall, I hope that he doesn't get injured. I hope he shows up healthy. But yeah, I think he's winning this fight.